Hello and welcome. My name is Shannon Kemp and I'm the Chief Digital Officer of Dataversity. We'd like to thank you for attending Dataversity Demo Day Enterprise Data Management. We're very excited to have you join us for this event set up to give you an overview of tools and services available for your data management programs. Just a couple of points to get us started. Due to the large number of people that attend these sessions, you will be muted during the event. For questions, we'll have a Q&A at the end of each presentation today, and we will be collecting questions via the Q&A section. Or if you'd like to tweet, we encourage you to share highlights or questions via Twitter using hashtag DV Demo Day. And if you'd like to chat with us and with each other, we certainly encourage you to do so. To open the chat or the Q&A panels, you may find those icons in the bottom middle of your screen for those features. And just to note, the Zoom chat defaults to send to just the panelists, but you may absolutely change that to network with everyone. And for this event, we will send a follow-up email within the next week to all registrants containing links to the recordings and slides from today's presentations. Now let's kick off our fifth session for today with Octopi, and let me introduce our speaker, Maria Pisman. Maria is a regional sales executive at Octopi and is a data lineage and catalog expert. She has 10 years background of sales in software as a service technology companies in global markets. She is a graduate of humanities and trained by Sandler and MEDDICC. And with that, I will give the floor to Maria to get this session started. Hello and welcome.
Thank you, Shannon, for the introductions. Hello, everyone. It's a pleasure meeting you all. I'd like to start by sharing one slide just to give you a little bit of background about Octopi, our technology, and the implementation process. And then I'll be happy to show you a demo for our platform. So Octopi is a metadata management platform that includes several spaces: the automated data catalog, the data lineage, and discovery. We collect the metadata from different data intelligence tools. Some of them you can see on the screen, such as ETLs, databases, analysis, and reporting tools, and centralize them in one place to show where the data is going to and where it's coming from. Now, in addition, the data catalog connects all the data citizens and help the users to answer questions such as, where should I look for my data? Who is responsible for this data? Does this data matter? What does this data represent? How can I use this data? So how actually our technology works? Octopi is a SaaS solution. We're located on the cloud on Azure. We send you the Octopi client. You install it within your environment. It can be any device. You can install it anywhere, but it has to be a Windows environment. And it's important to mention that you only need to install the Octopi client once. And during the configuration process, you point Octopi to specific directory to show where to extract the metadata from. And then the Octopi client extracts the metadata and saves it locally on your devices. And only once approved by your security processes, those zip files or XML files are saved locally, and only once approved are uploaded to our cloud for analysis. And this is when all the magic happens. This is when the metadata is being parsed, indexed, analyzed before it's ready for discovery. So usually it takes from 24 up to 48 hours until it's available to the user. And this is actually when you can start using Octopi. So let me now start sharing my screen. And here you can see the platform. Now here on the left, I'd like to start by explaining you about the different modules, different spaces we have, and then actually dive deeper into each space. So first of all, we have here the automated data catalog that creates and populates an inventory of assets. Now, Octopi gathers assets from ETLs, databases, and reporting systems in an automatic way. Now, an additional space that we have is lineage. It helps data teams to see where the data is and understand its movement process through the data systems, meaning where it's going to and where it's coming from. This might be useful in such scenarios as root cause analysis or impact analysis, for example. Now, the lineage space actually includes three layers of lineage, and the first one is cross-system lineage. The cross-system lineage is a lineage on a very high level that connects between the different systems, the ETLs, the data tools, and the reporting tools. We then have the inner system lineage that focuses on a particular process. Using the inner system lineage at Octopi, you'll be able to see all the maps, all the calculations, and all the transformations. The inner system lineage at Octopi is a visualization into your processes. And then finally, we have end-to-end, column-to-column lineage. And this is when we focus on a particular column, from the moment that column entered the data landscape all the way through to reporting and analytics. We also have the discovery space, which is part of lineage, and we call it here at Octopi the updated documentation of your data landscape. Now, using the discovery space at Octopi, you can search for any object, term, word, script, and see where we found it and where we haven't found it. Now, it provides data teams with the visibility and transparency they need. Now, I'm not going to focus on the space today, but just for you to know that we have it. Now, I'd like to start the demo by showing you the automated data catalog. Now, as part of the analysis process, Octopi gathers data assets from the different systems in your data intelligence landscape. And these assets are centralized to make it easy to search through and maintain. Now, Octopi also automatically includes any original definitions if they already exist in the different systems. And the first thing I want to show you are the layers over here. Now here you can see all the data assets from different systems, such as reporting tools, analysis tools, databases, ETLs, and even customized asset types that you can create at Octopi. Now for the reports, here, we also split it according to 4 different layers. We have the physical layer, the semantic layer, the presentation layer, and the reports themselves. Now, why it's important is because you may have different types of users that will be interested in different types of reports. So, for example, you may have really technical users that will be only looking at the physical layer and the semantic layer, while you may have really business users that will be only looking at the presentation layer and the reports themselves. So each user at Octopi can filter it according to their needs. So each time they come to Octopi, they'll be only looking at the reports that are relevant for them. Now, I'd like to demonstrate our data catalog through a use case. So let's say you have a self-service user that is looking to build a sales report and needs to locate the correct data assets. Now, traditionally, what happens is that this user would reach out to the data intelligence team, asking about the type of data he or she is looking for and where it can be found. And usually it takes the data team some time to understand what exactly this user is interested in. And once they do understand the requirements, they refer the user to the subject matter specialist. And once that happens, there is another process until the user finally gets the information that he or she needs to understand which asset they should be using. Now, what's worse is that this is a process that happens on a daily or even a weekly basis, depending on whom you ask. And what makes it even more difficult is that this information isn't documented anywhere. So the same question is going to be asked over and over again. So when a subject matter specialist leaves the company, he or she may leave with all the undocumented knowledge about the different assets. And when this happens, you're left with knowledge gaps within your teams. Now, what I want to show you now is how this process is done here at Octopi. So let's say you have a self-service user that is looking for a certain information to build a sales report, and he or she wants to know where to locate an asset that describes total product cost. So all I'm going to do now is actually search for that asset. Now in Octopi, locating the asset literally takes a few seconds. Here you can actually see the list of all the different assets. And you can see all the assets that are associated with this term total product cost, or whether we found it in their path or in their description. And there are two specific assets with this sign that it has been approved, and it will give actually your user an indication which asset you need to choose, because you may have, multiple assets with the same definition. Now I'm going to focus on the second asset coming from Power BI. So I'm going to click on column coming from Power BI. Now, by clicking on this column, I'll actually be able to see all the information about this asset. So here you can see that this asset has been tagged as sales, Salesforce, and orders. And you can see here the full description of this asset. So you can see that the full description of the asset is the total cost of a product in US dollars, including local tax, after all discounts are applied. And this is the business description. You can also see the technical description of this asset. You can see the calculation description, the origin description in case it exists in the source system. You'll be able to see it here. You can see the sample path of where this asset can be found. You can see that the source system, the business application. You can see that this asset is coming from AdventureWorks 2014. Now here you can actually see the different statuses of this asset. And as I've previously mentioned, you can see that this particular asset has been approved. Now you have other assets, other statuses here, and you can even create a customized status here at Octopi. Here you can also see the rating of this asset. Anyone who is using Octopi can rate this asset, and this is part of our collaboration functionality we have here at Octopi. You can also see here a sensitivity, the sensitivity of this asset. And this again will give an indication to the users whether they want to dive deeper to this asset or not. Now here you can see the properties of this asset. So you can see that it was updated by Maria and when it was updated. And here you can see the owners, the contacts of this asset. So you see the data owner responsible for the business definition of this asset, Sophia, and you can see the data steward, Jeff, responsible for the technical definition of this asset. And here you can see other assets that are linked to this asset, total product cost column from Power BI. So at Octopi, we have two types of links. First of all, we have the automated links. Those are manual links that can be enriched together. So for example, this is when two links, for example, with the two columns or two tables with the same definition are linked together. And we also have the automated links. Those are links that are enriched by our platform, meaning when a column is linked to its table or vice versa. And in addition, now, so let's say despite of all the information the user currently sees here, he or she still wants to find out additional information about this asset. And this is when the collaboration comes into place. So you can see here previous correspondences about this asset. So for example, Ollie, she saw that Sophia is the data owner of this asset, and she approached Sophia asking, is the exchange rate used as of order or delivery date? And received an answer. The exchange rate calculated as of order date. Now, this is the correspondence that will be kept in the data catalog, and Ollie will also receive a notification to her email address. Now, let me show you now how this asset is actually integrated with another space, which is the data lineage space at Octopi. So as you can see here, total product cost is a column in Power BI. And in case it's a column, is end-to-end, column-to-column lineage when we focus on a particular column. Now, the way to review the lineage of that particular column, all we need to do is click on end-to-end column lineage here on the left. And it will show us the lineage of that particular column. So I've actually opened the legend here on the left, and you can see here that this column, total product cost, is actually moving between the different systems. So this is all the source to target visualization of that column. And you can see that this column is moving between database objects and files, ETLs, and analysis and reporting tools. And in addition, what you can see is that this column, total product cost, is actually, the name is being changed through the systems. And Octopi is still able to show you the change. So you can see, for example, that it has multiple names, and then it actually, you can see the name total product cost. So now, once you've seen the integration between the spaces, between the data catalog and the data lineage, I'd like to show you additional layers of lineage we have. So let's click on the lineage dashboard. Now, here and in one place, you can actually see that Octopi will search through the various data intelligence systems to gather the metadata. And here and in one place, we can see where Octopi gathered the metadata from. So you can see that the metadata we collected is represented by different ETLs, store procedures, SQL files, database objects, files, analysis services, and finally reports. So you can see such names as Informatica, SQL Server, Snowflake, SSIS, Oracle, and others. Now, I'd like to show you an example of how you can use the lineage module at Octopi. So I'm going to search for an object, and the name of that object is fact sales. Now, as I search for the name fact sales, we can immediately see that Octopi filtered through relevant ETL, store procedures, SQL files, database objects, analysis services, and reports, showing us that this object, fact sales, is coming from SSAS. So let's click on the cross-system lineage of that object. And I'm going to again open the legend from the left, so you can see that the ETLs marked in blue, the analysis services are marked in yellow, and then the database objects marked in red. Now, I can see that this object coming from SSIS is actually a table. You can see it by the letter here, table. Now, in order to investigate where this object is coming from, All you need to do is move your eyes to the left, and you can see that it's coming from this analysis services tool and those two ETLs, SSIS and Informatica. Now, let me show you a very small example of impact analysis. So let's say if you want to make a change to a table, you want to see what might be impacted. Now, before making this change, you need to check, all the objects that are associated with this table. Now, instead of manually searching for those objects, at Octopi, this process is automated. So all you need to do is click on this table, is click on Show More Target Objects, and Octopi will immediately show you all the objects that are associated with this specific table, which basically means that if you make a change to this table, all of those objects might be impacted. Now, let me show you actually the last layer of lineage that I want to show you today is the inner system lineage. And to remind you again, this is a visualization into your processes. This is when we focus on a particular process. And this is when we show you all the maps, all the calculations, and all the transformations. So in this demo environment, I'm going to use an SSIS ETL as an example, and I'm going to click on it. And then I'm going to click on Package Flow Lineage. Now, in a demo environment, we have only one sequence container. Of course, you may have more containers once you are a customer. So let's click on Container View. Now, here we actually have different packages, different data flow tasks, and I'm going to focus on this one, dim product. Now, by clicking on the inner system lineage, it will actually take us to inner system at column level lineage. And again, I'm going to open the legend. So from here, you can actually see each field with its journey and transformations from the source all the way to the target, or vice versa. And again, to remind you, we are currently looking at package name load DWH in SSIS. Now, this is only one process that you see on the screen in a longer string of processes showing you part of the journey from the source all the way to the target. Now, let me show you something really unique to Octopi. So if I click on this table, STG dim product marked in green, I can then choose going backwards step by step to the original source application. So here we can actually see three main ETLs that are sourcing data to this table. Now, in addition, what we can do is click on the target and choose going forward. And it will show us the next stage in the process. So we give you the ability to start from the source and go to the target, or start with the target and get back to the source. Now, and the last functionality I wanted to show you in the inner system lineage are the calculations, the formulas. So if you have any expressions, you'll be able to see them here. Now, by clicking on the formula, you'll actually be able to see the expression itself here on the right. Now, regardless of how many expressions you have, you'll be able to see all of those formulas, all of those expressions here. Now, everything that you can see on the screen can be extracted either to a PNG format or a CSV file in case you want to use it. Not only once you're using Octopi. So I think that we still do have a few moments, and I'd like to actually show you the discovery module. And as previously mentioned, the discovery module is part of the lineage. We call it the updated data landscape. Now, this is when you need to search for any object, any script, any term, any word, you can do it by using Octopi. So let me give you an example. Let's say if you want to make a change to a column. Now, before making this change, you want to see where this column is located and all the different TTLs, databases, analysis, and reporting tools that you have. Now, instead of searching for that column manually and checking all the different tools that you have, you can automate this process and search for that column at Octopi. So here you can actually see all the different, you can actually see that we searched for that column, and marked in blue, you can see where we found this column. And marked in gray, you see where we haven't found this column. So let me give you a specific example. Let's have a look at TTLs that are using this column as a field source. ADF, Informatica, SSIS. Now next to each object, you're able to see the number of times it was found. Now, let me show you an example of what actually happens when we dive deeper. Now, comparing to the data catalog, the data discovery space actually includes much more technical information that you'll be able to see that is actually being extracted from the different data intelligence tools that you have. So as an example, I'm going to choose SQL Server, and I'm going to click on objects where the column product ID was found in 10 different objects, in views, in functions, store procedures. So let's click on those objects, and here we'll be able to see additional technical information such as server name, database name, schema name, object name, object type, definition, connection, logic name. So I can even actually click on any object name. So for example, I'm going to choose vSales customer products. Now, by clicking on the definition of this object, I'll be able to see the SQL that created this object. Now, from here, we can click on the inner system lineage, and it will show us the view of that script. And you can see all the source to target visualization, including the script. Okay, so I guess that's all I wanted to share with you today, and thank you for connecting for this session. And now I'll be happy to answer any questions you may have.
Yeah, thank you so much for this great presentation. If you have questions for Maria, feel free to submit them in the Q&A portion of your screen and just answer the most commonly asked question. I will be sending a follow-up email within the next week containing links to the recordings and resources from today's sessions. So diving in here, in reference to the data discovery process, can Octopi connect to lines of business databases reporting instances to auto-discover, catalog, auto-tag, and auto-describe the entities and fields?
Yes, we can. As I've previously mentioned in the beginning of this session, the Octopi client actually extracts the metadata from the different ETLs, databases, analysis, and reporting tools. And once the metadata is extracted, we upload it to our cloud for analysis. It's being analyzed, parsed, indexed, and then it's ready for discovery. I'd like to also mention that the difference between the lineage and the data catalog, as the data catalog requires a manual effort as well, meaning that some of the metadata is being uploaded and centralized in an automatic way, and and some of the metadata is being updated in a manual way. But we have a customer success management team that helps onboarding new customers with this process and assist with this process.
Perfect. And can Octopi read data lineage through CTEs and stored procedures?
We do support it, yes.
And, can Octopi organize this data dictionary by business unit and by product for true data catalog organization of assets is a key feature, so I'm curious.
So I think that we can elaborate about this question later on, since I need to check with our product team and get back to you.
No problem at all. And while most organizations attempt to maintain report instance of a line of business system to offload reporting and workload to a warehouse or a snapshot database, this etiquette is impossible when you're dealing with software as a service apps like D365, ERP, or Salesforce. So when a reporting instance for such software as a service system does not exist, can Octopi make a direct connection to these software as a service database instances and make the difficult discoveries?
So first of all, we're currently working on a feature that is called Universal Connector, Open APIs that will help us to extract metadata from all the unsupported technologies. Now, in addition, we also have a feature that is called Augmented Links that will help you in a manual way to upload all the source to target information and to visualize it at Octopi. And of course, it can be discussed in a more detailed way with our product and technical team.
And what languages can it parse to build automated lineage? SQL, Python, other?
So currently SQL is supported, but Python is not supported, since this is dynamic language, and this is something dynamic languages are currently not supported by Octopi. The reason for that is that we're not a real-time solution. We don't have access to your environment, and the control of the metadata is happening only on your end. And to be able to support such languages as Python requires direct access to your environment.
That's all the questions we have lined up right now. I'll give everyone a moment to add any additional. Oh, we've got one more question here in the chat. So I see that Octopi is adding support for big data solutions like Hadoop and Databricks. What would data lineage for semi-structured and unstructured data look like?
So I guess that, again, this is a question that should be answered by our technical and product team, and we'll get back to you in an email. I'll be happy to connect with you for a call to answer this question in a more detailed way.
Absolutely. And do you have any comment on data analytics in the justice sector?
Sure. So here you can see on all the analysis and reporting tools that we currently support. Those tools can be supported in an automatic way. Basically, when we extract the metadata using the Octopi client, we upload it to Octopi and we centralize the results in one platform.
And Maria, for when you're working with your customers, what's that aha moment when they implement Octopi that just gives them that extra lift that they didn't expect, that extra boost that adds ease to their business?
So I think that, Shannon, that's a great question, actually. Thank you for asking that. So I think that the main and huge benefit of Octopi is actually the integration and of the different modules, the different spaces that we have, that includes the data catalog and the data lineage. So for companies that are looking to have one tool with where they can manage the different assets, and when they can have the lineage, to do impact analysis or root cause analysis. This is an amazing opportunity to use one platform and to have a very easy and simple implementation process. Now, in addition, we have a customer success management team that helps with the onboarding process, and getting started with Octopi really shouldn't take more than a few hours. And from a security perspective, since we don't have the access to the metadata and the environment of our customers, that's why many customers, they don't have this concern of getting started with Octopi as a SaaS solution.
Perfect. I don't have any other questions from the attendees. If you have any additional questions for Maria, feel free to put them in the Q&A. Anything else you want to add, Maria, before we wrap it up? Oh, don't hear an answer, but we do have a couple questions that came in. Can you tell me more regarding the automation of the extraction?
Yes, of course. So once you decide to get started with Octopi, usually you need to choose the different ETLs, databases, analysis, and reporting tools that you have. Now, once you made the decision, we send you the Octopi client that one person needs to install on his or her machine. Now, it can be any device, but we require to have a Windows environment. This person that is installing the Octopi client needs to have relevant permissions to the different data intelligence tools that they have. Using the Octopi client, we extract the metadata, we save it locally on their devices, and once approved by security processes, we upload those zip files to our cloud, or XML files to our cloud for analysis. And this is when all the magic happens and the metadata is being parsed, indexed, analyzed before it's ready for discovery. And this is when you are actually able to see the results. Now, as in regards to the Lineage Space, then the process is fully automated, meaning that all the metadata is being centralized in the Lineage Space. As in regards to the data catalog, and as I've previously mentioned, the process is automated, but also requires some manual work, since there are some fields that need to be added in a manual way. And of course, I'll be happy to answer any additional questions you may have and schedule a more detailed demo to show you all the additional functionalities that Octopi has.
Maria, you moved to the perfect slide. The next request was to show this slide again so they can get your contact information and reach out, which is a great sign. All right, anything else you would like to add? Yeah,
Shannon, are you asking me?
Yes.
Okay, great. So I'd like to add that it was a pleasure, and thank you for having me today. And please feel free to reach out to this email. I'll be happy to keep in touch. Feel free to add me on LinkedIn, Maria Pisman from Octopi, and I'll be happy to schedule a more detailed demo and show you the platform and discuss next steps that works best for you.
Well, Maria, thank you so much. And thank you for anchoring the event with such a great presentation and demonstration. And thanks to all our attendees who have hung out with us for the day. Appreciate and have been so engaged in everything that we do. We will be, again, just a reminder, I will send a follow-up email for this event within the next week to all attendees or all registrants with links to the recordings and all the additional contact information for these demonstrations today. Thank you all so much. Again, Maria, thank you so much.
Thank you very much, Shannon. Thank you, everyone. Have a great week.
Stop.
Bye.